Welcome. You join us on passage between the Cannes Boat Show and Toulon, and it is choppy. We've got probably gusts of 30 knots, a really nasty, short, uneven, jagged chop, white horses everywhere, but don't worry, we've got the boat for the job. This is the Nordstar 49. We've tested the Sargo 45, we've tested the Targo 46, and now we are doing the 49, and we are doing it in proper Nordstar weather. It's about a 60 nautical mile journey, and at the moment it is a bit of a slog. So hopefully we're going to be able to give you a really good impression of this boat doing what it's designed to do, getting you through on your journey no matter what the weather is doing. At some point we will also pull over and give you a tour of the decks and interior, but for now let's see what it can do through these waves. I'm Jack Haynes, welcome to YachtBuyer. Before we get her up to speed though, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button and that bell icon so you're notified every time we upload a new video. What have we got here then? Well, the 49, you can have it with a variety of different engine options. You can have it with stern drives, shafts or IPS. IPS is the most popular, that's what we've got on this boat. IPS 650, so that's 480 horsepower per side, and really at the moment all they're being tasked with is just churning us through at about 15 knots. It really is quite uncomfortable out here in terms of sea state. It's remarkably comfortable though from this Helm. I really wouldn't want to be doing this on any other sort of boat of this length, to be honest, but we are really well insulated from what's going on out there, and every time I brace for what I think is going to be a big slam as we go over one of these really nasty waves, it just doesn't materialise. And it's not just because I've got this Grammer suspension seat, although obviously it does help a lot, but the hull just really does take it in its stride. It's very, very impressive. And although there's spray flying out either side of us, we're having very little actually coming over the boat, considering how windy it is out there, and we're really heading into the teeth of it right now. Very little of that spray is actually making its way on board. Now it will top out at 35 knots in good conditions, but we are a long way off being able to do that at the moment. Maybe as we get closer to Toulon and get some lead from the land, we may be able to open these up a bit, but at the moment it is really just about plugging through, and it's doing it very, very, very impressively. Navigation is really easy. We've got these two huge Simrad MFDs. I've got my engine information down here, fuel flow at the moment, so we're doing 15 knots and 92 litres an hour for 5.9 litres per nautical mile, which, considering we're not at the best speed for these engines, they really don't want to be at 15 knots. That's not too bad at all, really. You want to be cruising at 26, 27 knots on this thing. Hopefully we'll get there at some point, but at the moment we're just sort of gritting our teeth and bashing through it. We're passing Saint-Tropez. Things haven't improved enormously regarding sea state. We've been able to up the speed a little bit from 15 to 19, but it's still pretty bouncy. And what I'm discovering is that it's about resisting the temptation really to come on and off the throttles. Unless it's a really big one, you're best just to let the hull go through it. It does such a nice job of pushing through the crest that actually it's easier just to set the speed and let it get on with it, unless you do get a really big one, as I say, where you've just got to take the edge off. But it does a remarkable job of just pushing through these conditions. Some things that you notice in conditions like this is that it's really good to have this proper hard control panel for the touch screens. The screens are amazing to look at, but trying to use them with your finger in these conditions in touchscreen format is nigh on impossible. So having this wheel that I can just twist, zoom in and out, check the chart, switch between screens without having to use the touchscreen really comes into its own in conditions like this. And the driving position really is great. It's easy at the start of a journey like this to talk about how good the position is, but it's when you've sat here for, well, just over an hour now, that you realise, yeah, this is really comfortable. I've got so much adjustment, can slide fore and aft. You can see how the throttles come out, so they're right under my arm. The wheel's close. I can still use the armrests, full support of this seat. I don't really have to move. I can just reach down, move the screens around, with a great view forward. It is so well designed to cover ground in conditions like this. And I've also just relaxed a bit. When you start off in conditions like this, no matter how capable you think a boat might be, you're always tense trying to figure out how's it going to handle them. But as we've pushed through and I've realised just how comfortable it is, I've relaxed into it a little bit more now, so less tense and just feeling more confident that it's going to be very happy to chew through these miles until hopefully things ease off a bit and we can up the speed. The next thing is we're going to try and find some shelter, drop the anchor and do a tour to show you around the interior. Okay, time for an update. I am on the Flybridge, as you can see. We're still hunting for a bit of shelter to try and drop anchor and do the tour, but it has eased off a bit, which has allowed me to come up here and to the slightly more exposed driving position. It is a fabulous view forward though, those 4 big spotlights on top of the wheelhouse, and I can just see the prow there. But yeah, great central driving position. You haven't got the same quality of seat as downstairs, but it's still very comfortable. Adjustable wheel, and I'm right in the middle. So I've got a wonderful view forward. And it just insulates you even more from the conditions up here. Okay, it's a lot noisier because of all the wind, but the ride feels even softer, and you've got that lovely sense of the spray being pushed off the hull. You can hear it landing on the water. It really does feel great, and you just want to start throwing it around a little bit more. There's something about being up here. The angle of lead increases, the sensations are heightened, and yeah, I mean, downstairs is perfect for a day like this. You just have no idea you are going through such challenging conditions, but up here where the conditions are a bit kinder, yeah, it's lovely, and it's one of the benefits of this design. You have both. So when it eases off a bit, you can come up here and enjoy the conditions. We've got another spot here for a navigator. Obviously only really room for 2 people up here, but there's enough seating back there that's more guests can come along and enjoy the ride. But yeah, it feels like you know, a really well thought out driving position. It's not just sort of plonked on here, there you go. It's nicely laid out, everything falls easily to hand. It's just as practical and ergonomically sweet as the one downstairs, and yeah, it's a great addition to the boat. Hopefully shortly we'll be able to drop the hook and show you around in a bit more detail. But yeah, we've been going for 2.5 hours now. The revs have barely changed. It does feel like the wind is easing off slightly and we're getting a little bit of protection, so hopefully after the tour we can open her up a bit and see what she can do. Right, we found a bit of shelter. We're going to keep this quick because A, we're losing light, and B, we're all dying for a beer. But let's quickly get around these decks in the interior. So back here you have the option of a hydraulic platform, which this boat has got. You can see the brake here, so just this end part here sinks down into the water. It's riddled with practical detailing, this thing, and one of the key areas is back here where you've got this fantastic big transom locker here which fits all the fenders really neatly. Little boot section effectively. You can push that shut and then they're all tidied away nice and safely. Up into the cockpit you've got access both sides, and then really nice central seating area here, storage underneath all of these lockers, and obviously the table opens up such like this, so you get a bit more space. Keep rolling around a bit. You know what the conditions are like, so it is going to be a little bit rocky. And if you think the purple stitching on the upholstery out here is a bit wild, just wait until you see the inside of this thing. It's got a pretty spectacular interior. Underneath here we've got engine access. We'll have a quick look at those later on, and of course you've got access via the steps up to the Flybridge. Again, we'll head up there in a second. You have got the option to have the third control station down here in the cockpit with IPS and bow thruster controls. You don't have to have it, but yeah, if you're going to be doing stern to mooring, that's a good thing to have. Let's head forward, catch the sunlight. Really nice, safe side decks. You can see I'm 6 foot tall. These come up to my hip level, so it's easy to move down here. Really nice tall bulwark, teak caps as well, so they look very smart. And the nice thing about the side dills in this boat, like its rivals, it's got 2, But this one here on the Helm side is almost double the size, so you can get behind the seat as well as into the seat, and you've got a smaller one on the other side as well. And the key thing is they've aligned it not only with a cleat but also with this boarding gate, so you, as the helmsman, you can really easily get out of this position onto the pontoon and be really close to a cleat. So if you're using this boat on your own, that does make life a hell of a lot easier. It's completely flat all the way up here. It ramps up a little bit, but there's no steps, so it's very easy to move around. You're not going to trip over on anything as you move around. And then this is really quite a nice leisure space. You've got the mix of sunbathing here. I like the way that they've sort of incorporated a headrest here into the coach roof. Again, the purple stitching really stands out on this boat. And then you've got what you've got on the Sargo, where you've got these nice little benches here tucked into the corner. So if someone's sitting on there and someone's sitting in there, it just makes it a little bit more sociable. Real teak underfoot, high quality, looks and feels really, really smart, and there's a bit of storage under these as well. And obviously the anchor doing its work here. You know, this boat is from Finland, so the ability to get on and off at the bow if you're approaching islands, things like that, is really important. Hence why you've got this nice flat platform that gets you nice and close to shore. Final thing to point out is you can see the carbon fibre poles mounted either side of the railings here. They slot in here and they give you a canopy cover here if you do want a little bit of protection from the sun. And once again, those LED driving lights really do stand out on the coach roof. Let's head to the Flybridge. Now, in an effort to have as much room in the cockpit as possible, they have put this ladder quite close to the aft doors, so it's quite steep getting up here. Luckily there's plenty to hold onto, and it is a simple arrangement, no doubt about that, but it serves its purpose. You've got somewhere to sit up here, you've got a wet bar including a grill and some cooling space. You know, it's not an enormous space, but with what they've had, they've done a good job, and crucially it gives you that extra bit of living space. You've got sunbathing up there, you've got your sort of cockpit seating down there, which is great for protected dining. If you want to be up here in the elements, then this is a great option, and it's a good long space as well. You know, it's not tiny, and of course quite a lot of space is taken up there with things like the solar panels, and you've got that long coach roof there, but yeah, it's a decent space. Right, let's head inside. The interior of this thing is really quite different. Total custom job for the owner. They wanted this really bright, light colour scheme. This is actually oak underneath here, painted white. I mean, it certainly sort of pops down here in the Mediterranean. And one of the things that's unique about the 49 compared to its rivals from Target and Sargo is this more sort of U-shaped, home-from-home-ish galley. The other boats have their galleys aligned along the side of the saloon, whereas this is a you know, it's a big space. You can really wedge yourself in. You've got a split of having the sink here, cooking here. You've got your freezer and cooler over here, and then the fridge under the counter. But it also, because you have this sort of bar section, it connects quite nicely with the cockpit as well. Twin sinks here, as I said, and then just lots of storage down here. You have also got a dishwasher as an option. This boat's got it fitted and it's down there. Cooking here, and then a bit of extraction overhead, and that means that the side opposite is all just sort of handed over to storage cubbies, but also bespoke storage for glassware. It's all fiddled, so everything is held in place. Something I've noticed today going through that rough weather, nothing rattles, nothing clinks, nothing slams. It feels really solid. Things like this as well, just having a dedicated handhold here in the middle of the boat that you can grab onto. You've got them both sides as well overhead, but having this here as you move through the boat where the step is, falls to hand really naturally. Just really, really sensible stuff. Again, this is a custom table for the owner. Not only did they want it in this colour, but they also wanted it to be really, really large, so it folds out and becomes really big. You've got these squabs underneath that you can pull around all over the place and put where you want, and this actually drops all the way down. It's an electronic pedestal, drops right down, and you have infill cushions, and you can create another berth in here. So plenty of sleeping space on board this boat. And you may have noticed the hatch in the galley there. There's a little surprise under there, and we'll have a look at that in a moment. You notice how the helm is up on this pedestal, and that is what gives you this fantastically commanding driving position. Yes, the seats are part of that, but the helm is sort of on its own stage, so you have this fabulous view forward, and that helps to isolate you from the conditions as well. And that's the living spaces on deck. Let's go and check out the sleeping accommodation. Down here then, it's a 3-cabin arrangement. The layout itself is pretty much fixed, but there are things you can play with, whether you want to bias to storage or sleeping space. Forward here though, we have 2 double cabins. You have what will probably be classed as the VIP forward. If I just step inside, you can get a sense of the space in here, you know, good amount of room at the end of the bed. Headroom's perfectly good. It's not en suite, but it is very close to this day head here, and that's a nice size. It is a bit of a wet room. You've got the shower overhead in front of the sink, but you have got a separate section for the toilet. And then moving here, amidships is the owner's cabin, and this is a really great space. You've got some intrusions overhead, that's understandable given the size of the boat, but crucially you've got a proper double bed here, nice size, comfortable. You know, the floor raises up, but once you're in bed actually, there's enough space overhead to sit up and read if you want to, and there's storage peppered all over the place around here. And importantly, it's got a very nice ensuite. This has got a totally separate shower cubicle, nice teak fit out throughout, and plenty of storage in there as well. So this is a really nice cabin. But I mentioned that little surprise hatch up in the galley, so let's go and see what's underneath that. And underneath the magic hatch is another cabin. There's another double bed down here, and this is an area where you can play a bit with the space. Often it's used for extra storage. You can have storage racks built in here. This boat's actually got its washer dryer down here. Again, just because of the layout, the headroom is pretty restricted over the bed, but as you can see, you can stand up when you first come down here and then crawl into bed relatively easily. Engine access, as you can see, you've got this very wide hatch here in the cockpit, and then you're down straight between the engines here. Access to everything once in is very, very good. It's all incredibly neat and tidy as well. You've got easy access to the generator. The fuel filters are all lined up nice and neatly in front of you here, so you can really easily change and inspect them by eye. Access to pods is good as well. But in terms of access down to the engine room, it's not quite as good as its rivals from Targa and Sargo. But once down here, very, very neat installation. On that note, let's get them fired up and carry on to Toulon. We've been on the water approaching 4 hours now. It's nearly 8:30 and we are rapidly losing the light. We're about half an hour away from Toulon, but we're fully in night mode now. Back down here at the lower Helm. Again, these screens really do come into their own when you're properly having to navigate. We've got the radar up here, so you've got the chart up on the right hand side, but nothing much has changed. We're still doing 18, 19 knots. The revs have barely wavered today. It's not really calmed down that much. It did a little bit as we came into the anchorage, but it's still pretty bumpy out there, so we're just pushing through it. But I mean, it's just remarkable how comfortably this boat has taken everything we've thrown at it today in its stride, and it's amazing to get that transition from day to night. You really learn things about a boat when you're using them when the light is fading, and you know, this is a boat designed by Finns. It's designed to go around when there isn't much light about, and yeah, I mean, this is an unfamiliar boat to me. I've never been on a 49, never mind driven one, but still feeling perfectly comfortable charging along here at 20 knots with the light fading, confident that the boat's fine, I know where I'm going, and yeah, we're nearly at our destination. What can I say? Coming into Toulon now, this boat has gone to Toulon in really tough conditions, and simply it's just taken it all in its stride. The engines haven't missed a beat. The boat has dealt with absolutely everything that was thrown at it. You hope that boats of this style are as comfortable in those conditions as they look like they should be, and I can 100% attest after this review that the Nordstar 49 is well up to any challenge of that nature. And where does it sit against the Sargo and the Targa? Well, it certainly is equally capable out on the water, but I think if you want that roughness, that toughness to go cruising in tough conditions, but you want that slightly more modern edge, this is probably the one to go for. Thank you very much for watching that review. Something a bit different. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know what you thought about the review and the boat in the comments below. If you want to see reviews of its two main rivals, the Targa 46 and Sargo 45, you can click on these boxes here. And if you'd like to subscribe to the YachtBuyer channel, please click up here. Thanks for watching.